This year, as gigs are canceled
and stages go dark,
it can feel hopeless.
Don't let the lights go out on you or your bandmates.
Your union brothers and sisters are here for you.
The AFM is fighting to get members help with unemployment assistance.
We're working in D.C. to help protect working people.
And we're standing up to get musicians back performing safely.
And most importantly, we want you to be healthy both physically and mentally.
Please reach out and check in on your friends.
It's okay to ask if they're okay, and it's okay to not be okay.
We will return again when the curtains call.
Until then, Stay safe.
Stay healthy.
Stay positive.
Find more resources and assistance
At AFM.
Help.
And remember,
Together, we are stronger.
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 Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. How's it going? Wherever you're watching us from and whenever you're watching us, welcome to another episode of Conical Supremacy. Hey man, we got a really good one for you today. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I'd like to take a second and introduce my co-host, the guy who thought this thing up, Mr. Doug Tornquist. Hey Doug, how you doing, man?
Hi, John. Doing great. Thanks for asking. It's a beautiful day, and it's spring. New season.
Yes,
We made it.
Finally, it's spring. Oh God, I knew it was spring too because I went to Sprouts yesterday, and they had a brand new shipment, 2 pounds of strawberries like as big as your fist for $4. I was like, going, all right, we're here now. We're good to go, and I'm extremely happy. And we live in one of the greatest places to have spring. I mean, it's what, 70 something today. Sun's out, wind's blowing a little bit. It's just a beautiful thing, man.
It's great. It's the California promise. Yeah, it's all good.
Dude, we're keeping that one, the California promise, right there. That's friggin' awesome. Just awesome.
Right.
So hey man, you got to work this week besides teaching. Lucky.
I did. Yeah. A couple of projects. One was there's a new version of Space Jam coming out, so Space Jam 2, and then a new Pixar film called Luca. So yeah, it was a pretty big week for brass players here in LA.
That's nice, man. I mean, good for you
Nice.
to be on that. Working for Pixar, you've done a few of those before, and that's got to be a nice session. I mean, do they?
Well, the nice thing about it is the company's really invested. You know, when we used to do the Randy Newman pictures like Cars and Toy Story, the head of Pixar at the time, John Lasseter, would come, and he was at all the sessions. He was very involved, and they would even have a webcam set up so that all the employees at Pixar could watch us during the day while we were recording the music.
See, that's cool, man. I mean, that's
It
just
sure is.
that's just really cool stuff, and not to mention knowing that you're stepping up the game just a little bit, aren't you?
Well, we do enjoy an audience. don't
Everybody's
we?
watching me work, man.
Yeah. Well, it makes you feel like it matters, and it does. Now, how about you?
It does matter because without the music being what it is on a Pixar film, I'm sorry, it wouldn't make it. It just wouldn't make. It's it's a character unto itself, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, great. Long may it wave. Now, how about you? You're going back to work, right?
Still haven't heard anything. One of the disappointing things that was brought up is the park wants to open on the 30th of April. We haven't, as musicians, we haven't been informed yet, but come to find out, the head of the Orange County, what's the right term? The head doctor guy, you know, not Fauci, but, you know, like way down the line for Orange County, saying that, well, you know, having musicians out there is still going to be dangerous. So,
dangerous in what way?
well, that's the thing. So now the union, as soon as they heard that, thank goodness for them, they've compiled a number of different studies out there as far as particulates and how instruments work and stuff like that. Yeah. And they're submitting all of that stuff because, to be honest with you, Doug, and I don't know if a lot of people out in the audience know this, but people really don't know what we do.
I know.
And how it works and this whole thing. They just see, you know, this thing and they assume, oh, well, that's easy to do. Well, no, it's not. But if you put yourself in a doctor's position, how does he know unless he's been given the information? And one of the ones that I've been talking about the whole time, and if anybody out there hasn't seen it yet, you should check it out, it's available on YouTube and a bunch of other things. It's the Vienna Symphony did a whole study on every single instrument in the orchestra as far as particulates are concerned. And what I really enjoyed about it was they color coded everything as people were playing. So you could see fine, heavy, whatever was coming out. And the really fascinating thing is for most brass players, it stops about 6 inches from the body. And that's where everything just goes boom. So if that's the case, what's the friggin' problem? So, you know, we had Jim Self on talking about, actually, he was talking about the Pacific Symphony. They did this thing where they put up plexi shields around everything. And I find that to be excessive. I mean, that's just, it doesn't work that way. And well, the biggest offenders are string players because they've got nothing to blow into.
Well, I mean, I understand that. And I think, I mean, it's perhaps better to err on the side of caution. Time will tell how much is necessary. That study was very helpful to us, showing that we basically are harmless and that we aren't, you know, responsible for any distribution of aerosols. I think we're just going to have to get out there and do it and prove that it's okay. You know, a lot of these protocols are put in place by the government. You know, here it's the county, it's the public health department, and we just, our only choice is to comply.
Well, we have to comply as citizens, but in the same aspect, like I said before, these people just don't really know how it works. And if I was in that position, I would want to be educated as far as how it works, because there's a huge sector of workers here in Los Angeles who aren't working because of this. And they could be. And that's that's what kind of sticks, because I want everybody to work, not only myself, but I want everybody out there working, man. Absolutely. And we've talked about this before on the show, and the sooner we get back to work, the sooner this new thing is going to start happening. And I just can't wait. And speaking of new things, God, what a segue. I'm getting good at this.
You're very good at this, John. You're very good at this.
Last year, we've talked about this. My group, Tuba, we did a number of different concerts. And for those of you watching out there, you can check this out on Facebook Live on my Tuba page, also on YouTube under Tuba. But the cool thing is, we developed a really large body of work, and I kind of wanted to play a tune. What was this from, Q?
This was from, I don't remember the song. It's
no, it's I Remember April, but you know when it was?
Oh, it was, I believe that would have been
September?
August.
Yeah, end of August, September, and this is when the band was really.
November.
What, November?
Yeah, it was the.
Oh, this is a concert just before we had to stop from the shutdown, and the band was just on fire. And I really want to play this for you. I hope I'm not overstepping, but check out this tune's called "I'll Remember April." It's one of my favorite renditions with Cannonball. And Quinn, can we play that right now? So I hope you enjoy this.
Bring it on.
1, 2, 3. We got the one and only Zach Spellman in the house today, man. Yeah, everybody read the shirt because we are the first responders of the soul. That's awesome. Zach Spellman, thank you so much for being here today, man.
Oh, no,
Thank
I
you.
thank you because you are bringing me very much into the present, which is something that I think very much about every day. When I wake up, I usually wake up before the sun rises and I take a 2-mile walk and I think about, what am I going to do today? What's this day going to be all about? And you guys are making it happen. Let me tell you. And what's even better is that you're my people.
I know,
man.
man.
Nobody understands us like we do, like you do. So,
Amen, brother. Amen.
Thank you. It's great. Great to be here.
Welcome. Welcome to the Conical Supremacy. Well, and truly, Zach, you are our tribe. We are your tribe. So it's just great. And we finally have a guest in the same time zone, John. How about that?
I know. Go figure that. Today I feel good about everybody. I was so the last couple times I've been going, sorry it's so late, sorry it's so early, sorry it's
So if our guest needs no introduction, but I will provide that.
Please.
Zach Spellman is the tuba player of the San Francisco Opera. And someone called me this a while back, and I'm not sure, it was a little jarring, but if anyone is an institution, it is Zach Spellman, because when we think of tuba in San Francisco and opera, it is you. My very first opera, I went to see in San Francisco in 1980. You were there playing in the pit. And you are still there. And, for me as a native Californian, San Francisco is the center of the operatic world. I mean, we have a big opera company down here now, but until the 90s, all we had was visits now and then from City Opera. And San Francisco has always had a full-time opera and an orchestra and a very devoted concert-going public. How long have you been in the orchestra, Zach?
I joined the orchestra after it made its annual visits to Pasadena, the Shriners Auditorium. The San Francisco Opera used to have its own train, and they'd just bring the whole company down there and share opera with you. But I joined the opera orchestra in 1977.
Man.
Wow. This would have been my 44th season.
Wow, man. That's just awesome.
So, and like the rest of us, they closed the doors right about a year ago and just said, well, we'll see you when we see you. What have you been doing in that past year?
It's a very good question. I've been responding to lost souls. There's so many people wandering around with that dazed look on their face, like, whoa, what? And fortunately, I've got some really first-class friends who are willing to collaborate with me. And we do what we call POP concerts, public outdoor performances. And the San Francisco Opera Orchestra is very well organized. We have a social outreach committee. We have volunteer committees. We have a roster of ensembles that get sent out to food distribution centers or vaccination sites. We're trying to be involved with our community as much as possible. And when we hear about these other orchestras, and I can think of 7 of them that have been furloughed, including the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra, I mean, it's just heartbreaking. Well, we've been raising money and sending support, financial support to our brothers and sisters in this industry. And that's among some of the things I've been doing. I've also been spending a lot more time with my sweetheart. We've been married now, 42 going on 43 years or something like. We got married in 1978. Do the math, like 43 years. And you know, we've been getting together with our friends, socially distancing in our backyard or in other places where we can do that. That sort of thing. I've gotten to know the bird life in my backyard really well. It's just amazing. I just sit out there and watch these flocks that are so confused after all the wildfires that have completely changed their migration habits, and they've all discovered our backyard. I love it. So we no longer have any cats. No cats allowed right now while we have this bird life. It's great.
So Zach, I gotta bring this up, man. So you've been married for 40 some odd years, and being a musician, I'm hitting 25 this year, and this last year I think is the most amount of time I've ever spent with my wife, and she still likes me. I mean, is that kind of a similar thing with that, man?
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's wrong with these ladies?
I know. What's wrong with them? I don't get it, man. But I mean, I'm happy, don't get me wrong, and we still like each other, which is even better. But
well, we are the lucky ones, you know, in so many ways. We get to do what we love to do. We get to be with people who we love dearly, who are willing to put up with us and our eccentricities, if you will. And it's just a beautiful thing. We're very fortunate.
Yeah, I think so. And let's just talk about fortunate for a second here. Quinn, if you don't mind, Doug, I wanted to talk a little bit about how Zach got to where he is. And we're going to pull up he was lucky enough to send us a bunch of pictures. So I want to make sure that we use them. So Quinn, can we pull the first one up? So no, the orchestra, Quinn. Sorry.
Hey guys.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
So where is Zach in this one?
This is Interlochen National Music Camp, and I'm playing string bass there. You look at the far left, that's me playing string bass. And Oscar Zimmerman, who was Toscanini's first choice of bass player to lead his sections, he was our coach. Oscar Zimmerman is the top photo. You can see I'm like the third one in, and then below that was the high school band. I was third chair. I was third chair in the high school band, and Rex Connor was my teacher during that summer.
You know, it kills me how many people have. I was fortunate enough to go to the academy for high school, and how many people either were at the academy or at the camp throughout all these years, and how they've kept going. That was probably a pivotal moment. I mean, it was for me. I mean, the reason I went to high school there was because I was finally around people that were like me, that wanted to play music. And how pivotal was that for you, Doug? Did you go to the camp at all, Interlochen at all?
I always wanted to. I went to UOP in Stockton.
Okay.
Pacific Music
Camp.
That's
wonderful.
Which is even
good.
hipper. But yeah. I'm just saying, these experiences, I really think is what sealed the deal for me. Yeah. I mean, is that true for you guys too?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, because to be around the best at your age and to make music that actually really mattered as a young person, I mean, that's just, I fell in love with it. I mean, literally, I can't say anything else. In love. And I think we are so lucky that we had that opportunity, because it definitely, I mean, look at you. both you and Doug are both opera nuts, and you have been able to make an entire career out of playing opera. That wouldn't have happened unless you had been exposed to that music and really wanted to go there, man, as a young person. Correct? I mean, that just
No,
doesn't happen overnight.
I had no choice. I'm sorry. For me, it was just my fate or my destiny. I'm not sure how you want to put it.
I'll tell you what. Wait on the story, but I got to pull up this next picture because this is where the fate and destiny. Next one, Quinn. So here we go. There we go. Okay. Wait, go back. There.
That's
right
it.
There. All right.
That's the one.
Here's Zach playing outside. Now, where was this, man?
That's in Santa Barbara. That's where the Music Academy of the West is. What do they call that? Bella Fiora Bella, something. An old estate that Maurice Bravanel was the music director, and Van Haney, the trombone teacher, did the low brass, and Ned Meredith came. And anyway, the point is that you're bringing up something that is near and dear to my heart. I think that my most favorite phrase that I've grown up hearing is, "Wouldn't you like to go outside?" Now, there had to have been a reason why I kept hearing that over and over. Well, yes, it's true. I love the outdoors, but it soon dawned on me that, I like to make noise. I like to experiment with sound, and it was driving my parents crazy. Well, I have to make one thing very clear, that I am a party animal. And I like to have a good time. That's the most important thing. If you're not having a good time, why are you doing it? Right? Okay,
exactly.
So I grew up under the shadow of my parents, who were both very much into opera. My mother was a professional opera singer, and she was married. This is her second husband now. My stepfather, Frank, he was a connoisseur. He wrote for Opera News magazine as the Northwest representative, reviewing the operas in Seattle and Portland, San Francisco. And he would take groups to Europe to travel the great opera houses. His daytime job was as an anchor for KOIN TV, the CBS affiliate. Both my stepfather, Frank, and my mother had their own television shows on the educational station. They were celebrities. They had a very clear picture on what my life should be like. In other words, they wanted me to be a legitimate musician. And so I was subjected to the horrors of private lessons, piano, cello, voice, trumpet, string bass, tuba. Oh, now when I started playing the tuba, that really opened up my soul, because first of all, I felt the vibrations in such a way that no other instrument could satisfy. And I started when I was 9 going on 10, 4th grade. My band director, Mr. Morell, was my band director for the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. And then the 11th and 12th grades, he was my band director again for junior and senior year in our school district. We had a fantastic school district, David Douglas, in Portland, Oregon. It was, I think, the largest school in the state of Oregon at the time. We had a fantastic music program, theater. One of my best friends, David Hicks, I hope you're out there, David, listening. He was a star in the theatrical studies. And I think it was only because of the music experiences that I had in public school that saved me from my parents, who had this idea that, I was going to be a legitimate musician, and I was just out to have fun. And there was no other instrument that was giving me the satisfaction that the tuba could give me. Although the string bass and the electric bass came very close. They competed fiercely to rob me of my soul, and I had to escape. I was looking for the California Promise. And
Nice,
no,
Zach.
it's true.
Nice.
It's true. It's true. You know, I grew up in the rainy, gray environments of Portland, Oregon. Most of the activities that I was involved with were indoors, and I wanted to go out and play. So, and I grew up being called Bob.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, my first name is Robert, and it didn't matter how many times I was introduced as Robert. Everybody just called me Bob, and they asked me when I was going to be able to show up again with my bass. When was I going to be able to play in such and such a rock band or so and so's party or whatnot, you know? And oh my goodness, I just really wanted to play the tuba, and I think it was in 1975, I was attending Mount Hood Community College, wrapping up all of my credits that I needed to start serious studies. I was never a good student, but I always excelled in all my music studies. And there was an audition coming up for the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. And I wanted my younger brother, Isaac, who was a fabulous cello player, I wanted him to come and audition for the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, because I was thinking of going down there to hook up with my friend David Hicks, who right after high school, he split for San Francisco, where his mother was living, and he started his studies becoming a nurse. And my brother did not do so well with the audition, and I was there, and I figured, oh, what the heck, I'll just play for them as well. And I got a full scholarship to go to the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. So the California Promise, I was invited for a full scholarship to one of the most magical cities I'd ever heard about from my parents, even over and over and over. My stepdad, Frank, you know, one day we got in a terrible fight. He said, why are you doing this? You should quit screwing around. You should get serious. You should seriously consider becoming a conductor. Are you out of your mind? He had no idea what he was saying. Okay, so
I gotta interrupt you, because this is a great place to interrupt you, okay? But Quinn, so at the conservatory, we were talking earlier prior to the show. Today is your teacher's 100 and somethingth birthday.
If he were still alive, he passed away.
Let's put him up, Quinn.
2011. Dr. John Kyle Richards was the tuba player for the Oregon Symphony for quite a long time. He was also the librarian for the orchestra. He was associate dean of Lewis and Clark College. He had a collection of tubas unlike anything I've ever heard of, over 150 tubas.
Wow.
Well, he had a lot of storage space at the auditorium, at the school, in his house, in his friends' garages and attics. He also had an entire Civil War band, original instruments, and its traveling library. So anytime I would go for a lesson, and by the way, my first lesson with Dr. Richards was April the 4th, 1968. That was the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Yes, it was.
And it was just one of those days, whew, I'll never forget.
Yeah.
And kind of like today. So I kept going to visit Dr. Richards. Every time I'd see him, he'd have a different instrument for me to play. And he'd say, well, try this one out. What do you think? You know? And so I kind of grew up just learning how to be in the moment. You never know what you're going to have to do when you take a lesson from a guy like that. He would say, oh, I have some music I want you to learn. One of the very first things he had me learn was the overture to the Meistersinger. we'll come back to that. That's another great story.
No.
That's
We're
a
not coming
great-
back. We're not coming back to that. We're gonna go there right now because Doug, you need to tell the story now about the Meistersinger, 1980, right?
Well, sure. Okay, 1980. You know, I grew up on a farm 80 miles east of San Francisco, and I had a very good friend who, you know, her father owned a chain of dermatology clinics in Sacramento, so they had a box at the opera, and they asked me if I wanted to go, and so we went to the opera. It was sometime in the summer of 1980. That was my very first opera. It was Meistersinger. It was 5 hours long. There were no super titles, and I loved every minute of it. I mean, I just sort of sat down and it washed all over me. And that was the beginning of my love for opera. And little did I know, you were there. I looked in the pit. I'm like, who's playing tuba? Well, it's some guy named Zach Spellman. And we didn't meet until 2016 in Tucson, of all places. It's odd how we can be so far apart in this state, but San Francisco and Los Angeles are like that. But so I have a question for you about the Meistersinger. Can I ask you that? Well, first of all, how many times have you played that show?
I think 5 times. I think so. The last time we did it was with Sir Mark Elder. Oh gosh, that was about 5 years ago. That was probably the best one I've experienced yet. He just let us play unreservedly. And
Awesome.
He had such an understanding of what to do, and with joy, no frowning and no giving the hand. It was all just an invitation all the way through. Now that's my idea of going to work.
Yeah.
You know, Meistersinger. The Meistersinger in 1980 was kind of a special time because a lot had happened by then. That was my 4th year in the orchestra. Kurt Herbert Adler was the general director, and he conducted that performance. And also, my mother and stepfather had divorced by then, and she remarried Bruce Chalmers, who was the general manager of the Oregon Opera, Portland Opera. He had been in Toronto before that and moved to, what was it? Not Charleston, Charlotte. Charlotte. He became the director of Charlotte Opera after he was in Oregon. But they came to hear the Meistersinger in 1980, just on a fluke. They just happened to be driving through town and gave me a call. And I said, well, come by. I'll see if I can get you in for the dress rehearsal this afternoon. And so my mother and her husband came in. I snuck them in. They were seated in one of the first rows of the opera house. And who should walk in but Kurt Herbert Adler, who of course recognized not only a colleague, but the competition. And he was pretty much just like, you know, I did not feel. But I was so excited that my parents, my mother and her husband were in the audience for the show. And I played with exuberance. Now, I want you to understand that in those days where they had me seated was close to the stage, just alongside the timpani. And the bell of the tuba points straight up into the arc of the proscenium, which works like this. Anything I play is going to be amplified. So I played with exuberance, and I felt so happy. And I wrote a letter to Maestro Kurt Herbert Adler expressing my gratitude for his allowing my parents to be there for the rehearsal and to let me enjoy one of the great moments, one of the first pieces I had to learn as a tuba student. And he's reading this letter at his desk alongside of a review that was printed. The reviewer, Robert Commande, praised the performance once you got through the overture that was written for tuba and orchestra.
Awesome.
You know, Zach, it's like Katharine Hepburn said, as long as they're talking about you, that's all that matters.
They talk about me. So you want to know about how this all started. You know, it's like I said, I didn't have a choice in the matter. When I was a student at the conservatory, you recognize the fact that San Francisco was a place where you come to invent yourself. I was no longer Bob. I'm using my middle name, Zachariah, and people are calling me Zach. This is Zachariah Spellman. Hi, Zach. It's just like Bob again, you know, but whatever. I don't care. I'm over it. I am now doing what I want to do. And what I want to do is play the tuba, and it was recognized from the get-go. I was playing with just about everybody I could play with, starting with the young audiences, the brass quintet that I was playing in with Joe Alessi on trombone, Kate Dennis on French horn, and Chuck Metzger and Steve Butler were the trumpet players. Yeah, these are other brass quintets. I've had a wonderful experience playing in brass quintets, and the Bay Brass was the first one. There we go. That's our setting for horn smoke. You'll see the cow. Careful, the cow. That was one of the props that we carried around from school to school all over the Bay Area for so many shows. But you know, when I was a student at the conservatory, I was already getting calls. Could I show up and play for the Golden Gate Park Band, which was my first.
It's a great band, man.
Yeah, and they're celebrating their 139th year. I'm still getting together with their tuba player, Hank Niebel, who's 90. He'll be 91 very soon. And
just to interrupt for a second, man. Tammy and I love San Francisco. We go there any chance we can get. But I always take my kids, especially when the Golden Gate Band is playing. They've seen the band now like 3 or 4 times, and from like this tall to this tall, you know. And I'll tell you what, that's a bitchin' gig. It truly is.
Yeah, I had to audition for that. I had to join the union, Local 6, and Floyd Cooley took me down there on his. He took me on this motorcycle, his Honda 750. Of course
he did.
Yeah, I had my tuba on my back. We go in. This guy wants to audition. He needs a job. He's been offered a position with the Golden Gate Park Band. He needs to audition. Okay, they lead me upstairs to the musicians' lounge where the pool table and the card game tables are set up. And there's a little room with an upright piano. And this very tall, red-headed lady, Maria, got to the piano. And the guy auditioning me stepped in wearing a pistol on his side, smoking a cigar, and he put down a cornet solo with 4 sharps for me to sight read.
The good old days.
All right, so that didn't really faze me too much because, you know, I had cornet lessons, I had trumpet lessons. My parents wanted me to be a legitimate musician, so I learned how to read music. Now, I just did the best I could. I know I flubbed a few notes every now and then, and I felt my shoulder get whacked, you know. This cigar smoke would blow into my face, and he'd say, you know, kid, you got to be able to read this stuff. If you're going to play a 2-hour rehearsal for a 1-hour concert. No. So the other way around, a 1-hour rehearsal for a 2-hour concert. Yeah. So after I was taken home and given a new pair of underwear, I started working. And it was one gig after another. The Prometheus Orchestra, which became the Berkeley Symphony, the Oakland Symphony, the San Francisco Symphony kept hiring me to play all these wonderful second tuba parts alongside of Floyd. Seiji Ozawa was the conductor and music director in those days, and
That
he
was
did a lot of
magic. That was
Yeah.
a magic band, man.
Yeah, yeah. We did a lot of Berlioz. Anything that had two tubas. For a couple of years there, 1976, 1977, they were magic years. I was also hired by the San Francisco Ballet to go on tour with them, and this is back in the time when the San Francisco Opera Orchestra, the San Francisco Ballet, and the San Francisco Symphony all shared the War Memorial Opera House, and the seasons were, distributed far differently than they are now. They built Davies Symphony Hall in 1980, allowing for the San Francisco Symphony's season to expand from September through May. And that allowed the opera company to open up. And before that happened, it was like, who can we get to play in our orchestra? So they didn't really take auditions so seriously until 1980. And that's why I say I had no choice. They said, we want you, come and play. And after I started playing, I said, well, is that it? Am I done? And basically the message I got was, you will keep coming back until further notice. Well, I haven't been given further notice yet, and they haven't caught up with me, so I'm still a party animal having a great time.
After 40 some odd years. I love you, man. I just love you.
What can I do?
Awesome.
That is a beautiful thing. You've probably played, here's another tuba specific question. You probably played more opera than pretty much anyone in this country. I'm going out on a little bit of a limb, but I can't think of anyone who's had as long a career as you have at this time. Are there any pieces that really stick out for you? I know often it's more about the conductor than the piece, but the German rep, the Italian rep, San Francisco is also known for playing some pretty obscure rep. I mean, you did the Martyrdom of Saint Sebastian, right? And Saint Francis of Assisi, the unknown Messiaen opera. Do you have any favorites?
The next one.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. So this is one of those moments that I was referring to earlier. I'm so grateful to be here in this moment, in this set and setting, because just a few hours ago, my wife and I were relaxing here in the living room, listening to a live stream of Siegfried, part of the Ring cycle from, when did we do it? 2017, 2018. Anyway, just as the second tuba solo, the second Fafner theme was finishing out, I heard my email chime, and it was Douglas Tornquist letting you know we will see you at 2:30 for the sound check. And that was just like putting a dot or a period at the end of the sentence from my legitimate job to what I really like doing is hanging out with guys, just having a wonderful time. This is what it's all about. So you think about that, the moments like that. It's hard to answer your question about, do I have any favorite moments, because I can't even. I should have. One of these days I'm going to have to tally up just exactly how many operas I have played, because it's just such an array, and the sensations that one goes through when you're surrounded by those instruments and being sung to by those voices, that human experience goes beyond description. It is art.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, yeah. And Zach, I've also found, my opera experience is much more limited than yours, but if you're in the midst of a run of Butterfly, your outlook on life is perhaps a little tragic. And then if you're doing Rosenkavalier, you might have a little more idea that life is just a comic play to get through as best as you can. I mean, do you find that you take on sort of the psyche of the opera that you're in?
My wife just stepped in and she's going. Oh, by the way, here she is. She's where is she? She's right there.
Here, pull up the picture of them too.
So this is a Carnegie Hall. We're singing our song, the Verdi Requiem, April 29th, 1989. I hate Madame Butterfly. I have to tell you about Madame Butterfly. Oh, there's my
there
sweetheart.
she is.
That's one of the opening nights. Now, I got to tell you, Susan's a party animal too. She's a former flight attendant and loves to please people. And she's a great cook. She knows how to sew like nobody's business. She won't let me quit my job because it gives her a reason to build another evening gown to take to opening night.
There you go, man.
And
I love your wife.
I love her. I love her more than anything in the world.
You are a lucky man, man.
I got to tell you, when the reason I hate Madame Butterfly so much is because you cannot help crying. You just can't help it. That music makes you do it. It just, oh God, it reminds me of my parents so much. They used to. You don't understand. I'm still struggling with this because I was abused as a child. My parents would take turns. Saturday mornings was a time when children are supposed to be watching cartoons. Well, Saturdays in our household, you'd have to listen to opera on the radio at full blast, the Texaco Metropolitan Opera broadcast. And what's worse, this is the part that really I struggle with. All right, just a second. It's youth orchestra. I'm too young to drive, and I need to be taken to youth orchestra, and we carpool. And my parents, like I said, they take turns because they both love to sing in the car with the radio full blast and with my friends in the back seat. How humiliating is that? Oh my God. And I'm playing in the San Francisco Opera Orchestra and I can't get away. I can't get away.
Oh, friggin' Zach, you're my hero, man.
But it's okay. Look, I'm a party animal, and I found a new calling.
Here we go. Shirt 3.
You've heard of a man of many hats. Well, I'm a man of many shirts. So this is one of my latest bands is the Jeff Sanford Cartoon Orchestra. I know you can't read it; it's crazy, but
beautiful.
I've heard about this band for many years. They play the Raymond Scott music like nobody's business.
Oh, no way. Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I definitely wanted to hear them. And my producer, engineer friend, Eric Wayne, he's in one of those pictures, the Balboa Brass. He's the tall, skinny guy. Eric Wayne was telling me about this band, and he says, Zach, we're gonna be playing on such and such a day at such a time. And I'd look at my calendar and go, I can't come. I've got to work that day. And it kept happening over and over. One day at a bar called the Cartoon Room, oddly enough, this is Jeff Sanford's Cartoon Jazz Orchestra. Jeff Sanford's at the bar. I go up to him. I said, Jeff, I've heard about your band, man. I really want to hear them. And he says, well, oh, thank you. Oh, man. Well, what are you doing on Friday night? I'm not doing anything Friday night. Well, why don't you come join the band? We're playing a gig at Angelica's in Redwood City.
Awesome.
And that's how I joined. I mean, that's how I get gigs, man. They just say, what are you doing? Why don't you come on over?
Good.
And I've been a member of the band. The band is growing now. We are on Nonette. We're working on another recording. It's been so much fun. one of my earlier gigs with the band, right after the gig was over, I rounded up a friend who dropped in spontaneously for a visit. Nathan Vanderstoep, a former ballet dancer. He came to hear the cartoon band. I said, Nathan, I'm going to drive to LA tonight because I have to go to this party. I am a party animal, and there's a party going to be celebrating the music of Alec Wilder. Do you want to come and keep me company while I'm driving? And he said, yeah, I'd love to. And so that was when I was just getting started with the Jeff Sanford band. And man, I tell you, it's like when we were rehearsing one day at his house, we took a break and I brought some of my homemade pickles. I love making pickles. And I brought some of my homemade pickles to the smorgasbord for the band. And Jeff took a couple of bites of the pickle. And he looked at me and he said, you just try and quit this band. Try.
Awesome.
Until you keep coming back until further notice. It's like that. Yeah.
All right, so so I'm going to open up the can of worms because we're running short on. We only got like 10 or 15.
I know.
left.
I have a reputation.
No. Zachariah, I can listen to you talk. I want to come and hang out and party with you, bro.
Dude, we will. We will. I promise.
I'm down. But I want to open up the Chimbasa thing. Yeah. And Doug now has a couple. And Zach, I don't know how many do you have? A couple?
I have one. Well, it's not even mine. It belongs to the opera company.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about this a while ago. What guest was that? Oh, I think it was Stephen Wick, right? We were talking. Yeah. So there you are. You're looking good there, bro.
That's the Chimbasso that the Tyne brothers, Heinrich and Max, they made this for me. Yeah, they measured my hand and they made the valve system in such a way.
No way.
It's a fantastic Chimbasso. It also doubles as the contrabass trombone that the amazing David Ridge has mastered. I don't know how he did it, but man, he got his hands on this. The instrument that the contrabass trombone shares the bell. So you remove the bell section and you add the slide, and it's just an amazing instrument. So there's never a time that we're going to need to use both at the same time, because we use the contrabass trombone for Wagner and Strauss, and then we use the Chimbasso for all the bel canto operas.
Well, see, and that's the thing that that Doug, you know far more about this than I do, but it seems to be that's the conundrum. When do you pull out that? When do you do the other one? Because remember, Doug, we were talking about this with the traveling companies back in the day.
Well, there are questions about the orchestration of the Verdi operas, and there's a line in the Verdi opera scores, it's a C period basso, so we assume we play that on Chimbasso. But I have two questions. One is, do you use that instrument on the operas of Bellini, because some of those parts are very involved? And then where do you draw the line with Puccini?
I don't draw any lines. I leave that up to the maestro.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you ever play tuba on Puccini operas?
Not anymore.
Really? Even
operas,
for turn?
Those operas are written for bass trombone.
Even so, you think that would you turn that over to the bass trombone player then?
No, because he's playing the third trombone part.
Okay. The Italian editions will say, fourth trombone. The German editions will say tuba. And sometimes
the Germans, they would say that. No, for sure.
Yeah. But so you're playing, like, even on Turandot, you're in Tosca, you're using the Chimbasso. Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Mm-hmm. And then all the Verdi operas?
All the Verdi operas. You have to also keep in mind, I'm not going to argue against any maestro asking me to play the Chimbasso when it's a 25% doubling on top of my overscale.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm trying to be a legitimate musician here.
That's
folks.
correct.
Thank you.
It's a business, Zachariah.
You are correct, sir. That's right.
Okay. Okay. What would you say, you know, there have been instances where the conductor looks at the part, the fourth trombone cimbasso part for Otello, and says, well, I want you to play this on bass trombone because the part says bass trombone. And my thought is, okay, all those trombone parts for Otello and Falstaff especially were pretty clearly, I think, written for pistones, right? I mean, that huge chromatic run in Falstaff, which is, I mean, the trombones are all over the place, whereas if they
you don't want to play it on trombone.
No. But, you know, sometimes, you know, the conductor is always right, even when he's not.
You know, don't you wish you could have seen diagrams or photographs of those earliest brass instruments after the valve was created, and that the Italians just went nuts, building all sorts of bizarre contraptions that they would call bombardone or serpeno or, you know, cimbasso.
Right. Well, the argument settler for me is, have you ever played the Messa per Rossini, the mass that was written? And in the tuba part, each movement is specified: ophicleide, bombardone, cimbasso. So you think, well, obviously he didn't want 5 different instruments. So these were all generic terms for the bass voice of the brass section.
Right. Now, you know what I think? I have a theory about that.
Yes.
I'm willing to have this argument with anybody who claims to be an expert, but I'm referring to, you know, Rossini was a prolific writer, and he was a champion all through Italy, and all through Italy were these village bands, and no village has the same kind of instruments. That was whatever they could build or whatever they could get their hands on, and so these options or these choices, or if you want to call them specifications, were up to the kinds of villagers or players who might be asked to play the Rossini per Rossini.
Well, see, that's one thing that I've always wondered about this, and actually we've never even talked about this, Doug, but I'll throw it out there. Do you think, like Rossini or even Puccini, even, did he have that particular sound in mind, or was it just, I just need a bass voice to get this covered? Whatever the bass voice is going to be, cool, I'm down. You know, maybe it'll sound great. You know, we have this discussion about in jazz all the time too, about reharmonization, about, well, where do you draw the line? Should I really, you know, do this or should I do that? And then I would think there and think back and go, you know what? Maybe the composer would go, God, I really dig that. I should have wrote that in the first place, type of thing. And I don't think that that's changed for a couple hundred years. So what's your take on that? Do you think Rossini said, no, I have this certain sound in mind and this is why I wrote it, and that's why the part reflects that? Or was it just that, look, man, I need a bass voice to cover the part, and that's all I'm looking for? I mean, because I hear about this, is tuba or cimbasso Puccini, is contrabass trombone or cimbasso, what's the right one? You know what I'm saying? Or is it the sound thing, or is it just that, is that history, that part of history is just survived? You know what I mean? So
you know what this reminds me of? Sorry to interrupt, Don, but
no. I'm curious
because I'm a party animal. This reminds me of, you know, when I go out to dinner with refined people and they insist on ordering the wine, and they have all their reasons for why they selected this particular wine, for its terroir, where it came from, what its conditions were, how many layers of clothes the pickers had on when they harvested the grapes. Okay, I don't want this podcast to end without bringing up one of the most important ingredients of my life, besides my wife Susan and our parties, we've had so many wonderful gatherings. One of the things that Susan has done over the years is feed the opera orchestra when we have our opera in the park free concert after opening night. And there's no place for the orchestra to go to eat lunch for our 1 hour lunch break. And so with the help of our major domo, Karen Hutchinson, who's also a Steinway artist, and she does so many wonderful things for us and with me. And she helped Susan, along with some of our other team players, Mike and Roger Potter, et cetera, et cetera. We would feed the opera orchestra, and they would be gathered around out in the park.
Awesome.
And we would try to cram in some food as much as possible before going back up onto the stage. And it's funny because it got to be a real challenge to keep that space. All of these people want to come in and spread out their blankets, and Susan, my wife, and Karen, my major domo, they would all have to say, no. You can come back after the lunch break, and that'll be fine. It'll be the best place in the house. But this is where the orchestra is going to have their lunch. And let me tell you, those menus, Susan would research. She would, first of all, consider what the opening night opera is, and then start reading menus or cookbooks months in advance to plan something, like chanterelle and phyllo pockets, or Walla Walla onion focaccia, barbecued salmon, rice with artichoke salad, green beans and walnut sauce. She came up with these wonderful things that could be served outdoors. And then we'd go out and we'd play this fantastic music. Now, to me, that's, why don't you go outside and play? That's what I want to hear. Go outside and play. Invite all your friends. It's a free concert, and there's going to be food. And the maestros would join us, and people would bring their families. The children would be enjoying picnics with us. And oh my gosh, there's just no better time than celebrating life in such a manner.
Just awesome,
Amen.
Zach. Just awesome.
Amen. That is just what a reminder that that's really what this is all about, is community and friends and sharing your talents. And wow.
You're a party animal. You know that? Your party. I'm so glad I drove down to LA for the Wilder extravaganza. Are you going to do it again?
Well, I sold that house. So I now do concerts. I've got a concert series here in my new neighborhood, down in the parking lot of the market. During the quarantine, people feel like it's safe to gather outdoors. So I've been doing brass concerts outside. But yeah, those parties were off the hook.
I want to bring the Oreo trio, my dear friends, Rufus Olivier and Karen Hutchinson and myself. We've been playing together as a trio since 1985. We used to play. Yeah, there's my people. And we just have to get together. If we don't get together on a regular basis and play music, we wither and dry up on the vine. And
where can we find recordings of this group? Or
no, we haven't recorded.
No.
We've been playing live.
Come on, man, get busy.
No, we've been busy. We've been playing for the people.
Stuff.
By the way, this is Rufus. He came up with this. Rufus Olivier, the chief. He's my chief. He came up with that concept, and that's what we do. So you just have to get us. You have to invite us down there, and we'll play anything. You have something that we can read. We'll play it.
Okay, well, I'm writing it down.
Oreo trio.
And as Doug writes it down, I hate to say this, but we're kind of out of time. And I know we could sit here and just gab for like hours, Zach. So, I mean, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Most of all, Mr. Zachariah Spellman. What an absolute gas and joy to have you on today, man.
Come here.
And I just can't say, man, we got to hang out. That's just all there is to it, man. I mean,
And my better half. My better half.
Oh, there she is.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Fabulous.
Thanks for letting him out for an afternoon.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Well, hey,
good.
Doug, you got anything else, man?
Zach, you're just amazing, and I'm so grateful that you joined us today and you shared your stories, and your joie de vivre is infectious. So thank you for showing us how it goes.
It is my pleasure. Let's do it again.
Zachariah
We will.
Spellman, thank you so much again, man. And everybody out there, we're going to be back next week on Sunday. Doug and I have talked, and I think we're going to try to keep doing the Sunday afternoon thing. So you can check out another episode of Conical Supremacy next Sunday at 3 p.m. We thank everybody for showing up. Once again, many thanks to Mr. Zachariah Spellman for some time. Doug, loving you, man, and we'll see you next week, okay? Everybody have a great day, and peace out, everybody. Peace out.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.